So, if you've been following along with the show, I've been talking about Starship, the world's largest and most powerful rocket. We finally have SpaceX has conducted its second orbital launch attempt. The world's most powerful and largest rocket, Starship. So this occurred on Saturday night, and as I was about to go to bed at like 11:30, I got a notification from Musk saying T-minus 30 seconds until launch, and I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna happen. They're doing it, because I thought there was going to be, there's always delays with launches. They get the rocket on the thing, then they fill it with propellant, and then, a cloud goes over the top, and they're like, ooh, not today.
Yes.
Yeah. Or there's too much wind, and they're like, no, we need a window. So the windows are small for these things. So, I was very excited, but 11:30, so then I, hit the keyboard. I'm sitting there, I'm watching the rocket. It launches, and it's climbing in altitude, and I'm just sitting there with like my hands on the thing, just like a little kid, just watching this rocket. I'm like, oh my God, is it gonna explode? And then it got to the part of the process of the launch where they do something called hot staging. It's the separation between the first stage and the second stage. So every rocket, or at least the ones that Musk is building and the ones that I'm aware of, it has the first stage is the booster, and the booster is what is used to get through the densest part of Earth's atmosphere. Yeah. It's like the thickest part of it. And then once it reaches a high enough mark in altitude, the booster isn't necessary anymore. And it actually, and I'm just guessing on this part, would probably be detrimental for the rocket to reach its trajectory, because there's more weight on it. So it disconnects. And this is what they call hot staging. Now, during the first orbital launch attempt, which was conducted on April 20th this year, Starship exploded midair in what SpaceX call a rapid unscheduled disassembly, which is a it's a nice way to say it went boom.
It went boom, yeah. But that's fun. Rapid
unscheduled disassembly, or they call it a RUD. So during that launch, and a RUD was initiated after the hot staging failure. So a fire on the side of the booster and Starship severed communications with SpaceX, and they weren't able to initiate the hot staging. So the entire 394-foot rocket started to tumble midair, and then as soon as it started to tumble, there's no recovery, mission abort.
Yeah,
and there's
the explode button.
You don't even have to press it. The rocket just explodes. Like it knows if it falls out of, like, say there's a window of trajectory going up. For audio listeners, I've got my hands next to each other, and there's like a road in the sky. If it falls out of that too much, it bam, boom, gone.
Yeah.
So, second orbital launch attempt, rocket reaches altitude, hot staging initiated. It looks incredible when it's happening, and I might have a photo for it that I can throw up on the screen right here. I posted about it yesterday. Yeah, video here. Hot staging. Yes, there's a video in the article. Reese put it on the screen somewhere here so everyone can see it. And it is the first stage, the booster successfully separating from Starship. Major achievement. That was the primary goal of this orbital launch attempt. Even though it is called, like, we are trying to get to orbit every single time, they have objectives leading up to it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so huge achievement. Super heavy, the booster explodes midair after it's successfully disconnected and at a safe distance from Starship. Then the Starship vehicle, the smaller top half of the rocket, continues to go out into keeps on climbing in altitude, and then shortly afterwards you just see a plume of gas in the sky, and you can't see the rocket because it's so high up. You just see a plume of gas, and I've got a GIF that, Reese, you can throw on the screen here. That's what was on the live stream. There is better footage of it now, from different angles that have been posted online in the following days. But that orange video that is in my SpaceX hit major milestones with second Starship orbital launch attempt that exploded mid-air news piece. That is what everyone saw. And the silence during that was deafening. It's like, because we're all sitting there, and then the numbers on the, I don't know why this GIF is such low res, but the numbers on the bottom there were just like tracking the speed of the rocket, and they just stopped. And I'm like, oh no.
Uh-oh.
And then you just see that plume of gas, that little like poof, that little fart of gas, and then it just goes up, and then you're like, oh, it's gone. Yeah, it's gone. It's like $100 million just exploded midair, and then we started to see better footage of it. It's like some videos posted to TikTok of it actually exploding. You get a much better view of it. But yeah, regardless of the explosion, the mission was deemed a success, and SpaceX has incrementally pushed itself forward to achieving the world's largest and most powerful, rapidly reusable rocket.
Yep.
The means of transportation that will hopefully... Yeah. Well, this is the process. Like, if you've been following SpaceX long enough, or like perhaps the career of Elon Musk, you remember all of those rockets that he like tried to land out in the middle to sea, and they all exploded. These are all like the Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy rockets, and now both of those rockets, the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy, are workhorse rockets that are constantly ferrying satellites to orbit, cargo to the ISS. It's like these. Yeah. The process of this is, well, Elon Musk's process is to, and he carries this same strategy across all of his companies, is move fast, break stuff. So,
but this is like also like NASA, right? So you look at the Apollo missions, like it was not Apollo 1 that landed on the moon.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
It's 11.
Yeah. After every single test, you learn more, and then you implement those changes.
Like, you don't get there in the first go. It's like you got to get somebody, you got to get into orbit. You got to see if we can go around the moon. We got to see if we can.
Yep.
Like.
And we're still doing that today. We're still doing that today, even with the current NASA missions.
Yeah, the first people to the moon didn't land on the moon.
Yeah,
it was just like, let's see if we can get there and get back.
With the Artemis missions, we've done Artemis. I think we've done Artemis 1. Artemis 2 is essentially a reconnaissance mission where we put astronauts in the Orion capsule, send them around the moon. They'll be the furthest any human has ever traveled in space when we go around. I think we take an elliptical orbit around the moon and then come back to Earth. But both Artemis 1 and Artemis 2 are essentially reconnaissance missions to test all of the equipment aboard the Orion capsule. And then on Artemis 3 is when we soft land on the moon again. It will be the first time in 50 years since a human has landed on the surface of the moon. But yeah, well, that illustrates the like, okay, we'll just this is essentially what happens. NASA's like, we'll go check it out, and then they send a unmanned Orion capsule around the moon, and they're like, all right, it looks okay, and then they go like, all right, let's put people in the Orion capsule. They'll go check it out, and then they send that one, and they're like, and then they come back, and then they're like, all right, how was it? And then those people will go, yeah, it's all good. It's like, all right, now let's land on it. Now, that's what they like. That's the Artemis missions in a nutshell. In a nutshell. But yes, I'm very happy that hot staging was achieved. It is a critical component of eventually getting Starship to orbit. A massive objective, especially considering the size of this rocket. And I mean, no one's ever flown anything this big before. So working out all of the flight characteristics for something this large, this heavy, the I just want to say the equation of Earth's atmosphere, the density, the amount of thrust you need, where you need to reduce drag, all of these things is like what SpaceX are learning every single time that they launch this rocket.
Yep.
And it will, I don't know how many times they're going to do, RUD ending launches before it actually just lands back on the ground, or at least the booster does. But it will be a few. And this isn't like surprising to SpaceX. I've seen plenty of articles online. It's like, oh, it's ended in failure, or just people commenting. It's like, oh yeah, cool launch. Like, yeah, it was sick. What a failure. That's not. It is a success. This is expected by SpaceX. This is what they do. They've been doing this. So yes, that is an update on Starship, and just another update. This is an article that I got to write later on today. Elon said that it should be 3 to 4 weeks before we do another Starship orbital launch attempt, because SpaceX, well, both stages of that specific rocket no longer exist, only in small nuts and bolts. But they have already built the next generation Starship and are implementing all of the changes from the data that they've gathered on the second orbital launch attempt into what will be the third orbital launch attempt. So they've got Starships on back order ready, kind of like just bare bones. And with the acquired data, they go, all the engineers come in, they're like, bzz, 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 like NASCAR drivers, where they're just like taking out tires. And they're like, okay, we need to add this, do that. So if that's true, and Elon Musk is in like, and he does this constantly, optimistically putting out timelines for things, Cybertruck, then we should see more Starship launches consistently, which is good. Because the more launches, the faster they launch. The faster they land. Sorry.
I just want to see people land on the moon and Mars.
That'd be so epic.
That's what you want, right? Like, cause, like, you know, when you hear stories of like people that, from that generation that were like watching the moon landing on TV and stuff. Or,
yeah.
Like,
that'd be incredible.
How cool would that be?
And
like,
ours will be live streamed.
TV, we'll be live streaming it on YouTube or Twitch or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever service. You'll be on your phone, out and about. Be watching it. How crazy would
and
that
the humans are walking around on our nearest neighbor. That would be, oh man, it would be incredible.
So good.
Absolutely incredible. So yeah, there's a bit of Starship for you. Keep your eye out for more launches. And if you haven't ever seen a launch, check it out. It's pretty cool to watch something like that's a human feat of engineering. The fact that we're even attempting to do this is impressive in itself.